Greetings. So keep in mind that as a novice, you just jump in and practice. But as you gain experience, you want to get what I call a meta view on what you're doing. And this is why I introduced this set of asana principles to help you. And the first asana principle is that samastitihi is the root of every other asana. Okay, and so that's a very deep thought that Marichiyasana and dropping back and going up into headstand or doing a deep back bend, all of those have their roots in samastitihi. And every pose that's not samastitihi, you get to it by excursioning away from samastitihi. And so in order to make a learned and a wise and a beautiful excursion away from samastitihi, one of the things is to start to understand what goes into samastitihi. All right, and so today's focus is about the arm position for samastitihi. And what you can say is for every pose, when you're thinking about your arm position, you want to think about the root of the arm and going out through, from the root through the length of it to the extremity, okay? And so it's the head of the arm is the root of the arm, but also it's your scapula on your back, okay? And so like a novice won't think of that at all. They'll just reach up, right? But you're gonna go to the root of your arm, to the scapula on your back, and actively position it, okay? And so in samastitihi, the scapula has 3 actions. That shoulder blade on your back, it goes down, like drawn down, the tips towards the middle, and then it stamps forward into your body, all right? So from the front, that looks like this. So it's so your scapula acts like a base plate. It anchors your arm onto your body. Okay, so, and if you don't do anything, your scapula will tend to just sort of either ride up or just sit there. Okay, and so you're trying to orient from the scapula and create a very powerful arm position. Okay, and then from the back, you go down through the scapula, towards the middle, and then forward into the body. Those 3 actions of the scapula are good for every pose where the arms are horizontal or lower. Warrior 2, right? The arms are horizontal, so the scapula go down and stamp forward into the body. And triangle pose. So, which is interesting because you start off in triangle with the horizontal arms, and then when you go into your pose, the scapula do the same thing even though your arms are now vertical instead of horizontal. They keep their same relationship. So when you do, I'll show it to you from the back. So when you do triangle pose, when you come down, you have a samastitihi action through your arms. There's a drawing down of the scapula and a stamping forward as you do your pose. Okay, and then it's true of chaturanga dandasana, upward facing dog, purvottanasana. So every pose where your arms are horizontal or lower, you work with the scapula going down, in and forward. So then the story changes. So when your asana excursion takes the arms overhead, the scapula do something a little bit different, okay? And it's a little bit tricky because what happens is the scapula go apart instead of towards each other. So they kind of separate and widen across here. And then you don't keep pulling down. So in samastitihi, you pull down through here. But when you take your arms over, you don't pull down. That feels very awkward. And yet, you don't let them ride up like this either. Okay, so what you do, I think of it, the image I use is like the old-fashioned train barrier. Okay, so you've got that stick that goes across the tracks, and it has a weighted end. Okay, and that weighted end is like your scapula. So as that train comes, the stick goes up, and the weighted end helps it to go up. All right, so you're not pulling your scapula down, it's just that it weighs a lot, so it doesn't go up easily. Okay, and then the third action is that the scapula stamp forward and kind of anchor your arm to your torso, right? Just like when you're in samastitihi. Okay, so when your arms are overhead, the three actions are a scapula apart, up, and forward into the body. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky, but with a little practice, you can get the feeling for it. All right, and let me show you an example. So when you do Utkatasana, okay, so you come down into your pose and you reach your arms overhead, your scapula are widening, and then you imagine them as heavy and weighted so that you can freely reach up. And then the scapula also stamp forward into your back. All right, so they go apart, heavy, and forward to make your pose. Okay, and then if you're doing warrior one, same thing. The scapula widen, heavy, and stamping into your body. You're looking for a meta view on your poses. So you're taking an excursion away from samastitihi, and you're wondering, what do the arms do in that excursion away from samastitihi? And when you're wondering what the arms do, you think of your scapula. Is it horizontal down, or is it up overhead? And you remember those three actions. From horizontal down, it's scapula down, in, and forward. From horizontal up, it's scapula apart and heavy and stamping forward. Okay?